All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is, Yet their posterity approved their saying. And that's a direct quote from the book of Psalms, which you're going to get and read through it. And, Lord's will, this lesson will be edifying. Pretty much earlier today, I was listening to the book of Psalms. And when Alexander Scurby got to Psalms 49, there was one particular word that stood out to me that gave me an idea for a lesson. So here we are. All right, so we're going to just start off there in the book of Psalms and read through there, because one argument that Esau likes to use, and we're just using Esau as an example because they're the ones in power right now, but I'm pretty sure that if you go to all the different nations, based off of, us being the Israelites and the things that they've done to us, I'm pretty sure they may have the same argument, but we're still under captivity under Esau, so we pretty much bringing it to him because they're the ones that are in power right now. But one thing that they like to speak on and talk about a lot is that it's not their fault. That was their forefathers that did that. They had nothing to do with it. They weren't around at the time. And this is why you got your vocab Maloons. By the way, I want to put in a request for an application right now with Elder Apostle Tahar so he could rent out vocab to me, in the kingdom, as a slave, because I know he ain't he ain't gonna let that devil out of his sight too much. So I just wanted to put in my application right now, inside joke, something that Elder Apostle Tahar mentioned in his last video he did. So they trying to get away from that. That's why your vocab Malones and your different other Edomites, so-called Christian apologists and plantation Christian gatekeepers say that there's no such thing as reincarnation, because they know either they know reincarnation exists or they don't want it to exist, because they know if that's the case, then they know they're in trouble because of what was done to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. There's a lot of blood that has to be shed for the blood that they shed. And that's why they're trying to get out of it. And that's why when you bring out those points, which they can't deny the history of what the so-called white men, the Edomites, did when they came to this side of the world, and how they destroyed the natives of this land, which are Israelites, and how they brought other Israelites over here to serve slavery, captivity, build up this country off of the backs of these tribes. And then they have a nerve to say, "Oh, how do you mean we built America off the backs of slaves?" You did. Whether they build the buildings themselves or not, where do you think all that money came to build up the infrastructure of this place? It came off the backs of the slaves. That was a big commodity back then. Oh, well, we got it off of the sugar plantation. Who the fuck you think was working the plantations? The sugar didn't jump off of the cane and go and sell itself. Somebody had to put the work in. The cotton, same thing. Anything else that you devils got rich off of, you got rich off of the backs of the slaves, whether it was the so-called Latino tribes, the so-called Native American Indian tribes, or the so-called Negro tribes, which all make up the children of Israel. So that's why they try to say it wasn't me, it was my forefathers. Well, that's a weak ass argument. And that's why the vocabs and them are hoping that that reincarnation is not real. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here to the book of Psalms, Psalms the 49th chapter. We're gonna start off there. Psalms 49, we're going to start at the very first verse. The point is a little further down, so just bear with me as I read through it. Psalms 49 and 1. I hear this, I'm sorry, that's number one. Hear this, all ye people, give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world. So this is a message that's to be pushed out to all of the world. Everybody got to hear this. Because the books are written and the judgments are set, and the message is out, and the Lord is about to enter, this world is about to enter into a sentencing stage, or should I say into the judgment stage, because we're in the sentencing stage right now. It says both low and high, rich and poor together. So this is for everybody. My mouth shall speak of wisdom. This is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. This is a psalm of Korah, one of the sons of the priests. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline mine ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the harp. And this is the reason why this truth is not understood by everybody, because there are dark sayings and parables that the Lord speaks in. You know, he doesn't use the modern day terms of so-called white man or so-called black man or none of that, because those terms didn't exist back then. These are modern terms of these modern times. But you have terms like wicked and Babylon the Great and the daughter of Babylon and the daughter of the Chaldeans, you know, spiritually Sodom and Egypt, you know, and different other, you know, the Edomites, which are the wicked, according to the Bible. Scriptures speak about the wicked a lot, you know. So these are all codes, you know, or parables that the Lord had the prophets write for these times that we live in today. So it says, my mouth shall speak of wisdom. I'm sorry, I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the harp. Yep. It says, wherefore should I fear this? Because this knowledge that we teach is music. Just like the Psalms were lyrics to songs. And those songs were played on instruments, on timbrels, on harps, different stringed instruments, trumpets, cornets, you know, shofar, you know, and all of that. All right, it says, wherefore should I fear in the days of evil? Because these are the days that we're approaching, the days of evil. When the iniquity of my heel shall compass me about. Yeah, because we're about to enter these turbulent times, you know. And pretty much the scriptures say, for all have sinned and come short of the glory. So none of us are really worthy of the kingdom, you know, not by a long shot. Doesn't matter how long we've been in this thing or how short we've been in this thing. None of us are worthy of the kingdom. You know, the kingdom is going to be given to us because it's a promise. It's a gift, you know, that's going to be given to us, not because of our righteousness. Because the Lord said he's doing it for his great name's sake, not for our righteousness, because our righteousness is as filthy rags. And you know what a filthy rag is? A used Kotex. And I'll leave it at that. Because I've been called the graphic one. Inside joke. It says, they that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches. And only one nation can really do this. This is Esau. Now the other nations can do it now. Why? Because they've become rich by this harlot, by this whore, by Babylon the Great, the merchant city. So this applies to Esau. It says none of them can by any means redeem his brother and give to the Most High a ransom for him. Yeah, because there's nothing that Esau could do to redeem himself, because they have to pay for what they did. Even the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, when he died, he said, well, send somebody back from the dead so that my brethren can be warned not to come to this place of torment, which is what? Slavery in the future. And the Lord said, look, they got Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. Because they're not going to listen. They're the deaf adder that stoppeth their ears. That's why anytime you bring out points and you ask questions, they never answer our questions. And then when we ask questions, they give some vague bullshit answer with no proof or nothing behind it, and we just have to accept it. But then when we say something, we have to go through the extreme of pulling out empirical evidence to show and prove our position. But they don't have to do that. So it's a double standard. It says, for the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceases forever. that he should still live forever and not see corruption. Yeah, because the only ones that really was promised eternal life were the Israelites, you know? And that's what we're coming to. And all of these nations are not going to receive eternal life. They're not going to have spiritual powers. They're not going to live forever. Only the Israelites are going to have that glory, you know? That the Most High has, Yahweh. He's the Ancient of Days. Then you have Yahweh Shai. Then you have the Israelites, okay, and the different levels of Israelites. It says, for he saith, I'm sorry, it says, for he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool, the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Yeah, and they leave their wealth. Esau leaves their wealth to their children, for the most part, right? And this is what this lesson is about. It's about, yet their posterity approved their saying. And we're going to get to that point. It says their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. So this is the point. Because in their mind, they're never thinking that they're going to go down. That's what the scriptures speak about, the pride of Esau. They think that they're going to continue to rule forever and ever and ever. And that, that they'll never see the downfall or destruction of their empire. But the foolishness of them is that if you go back into the history, which they have the ability to do through archaeology and different documentation, you'll see that even the greatest empires out there, you know, fell. So empires come and empires go, and especially when they become wicked, you know. But there's a time and chance happening to all men, you know. There's a time for everything. There's a time and a season for everything. You know, there's a time for one to rule, and then there's a time for them to go down. There's a time for one nation to be planted, their empire to be planted, and then it's time for it to be plucked up. And how did those empires, how were they plucked up? Because you had the prophets that will go out there and prophesy against those kingdoms. So we are out there prophesying against America, Babylon the Great, that is going to fall along with all the other nations pursuant to prophecy. Why? Because this is the time that the Lord said that they would fall. Just like during the different empires, you know, you had the prophets prophesying either to Israel or to the kingdom of Judah or to the kingdom of Ephraim, you know, and the rest of the tribes, or to different empires that were ruling, or to different nations, that their desolation was coming. And the desolation of Esau is coming. America, Babylon the Great. All right? Now, let's go back. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And that began with the Greeks. Because the Greeks were the ones, when you go back into the history, even in the Josephus, it tells you that they were the ones that changed the name of the lands and put it into to the names that sounded like their, you know, in their language. So that's what they did. And you can see that today. You look all throughout America. You know, what do you have? You have the conquered lands. If they didn't leave the names of the Gadites that were there, you know, they have names of Edomites. You know, for names, you know, you could go from Canada all the way down to South America. Same deal. Whether they're Spanish names, whether they're English names, or whether they're French names. You know, like I said, outside of if they actually named it a particular land, you know, after the Gadites or the different other tribes. So it says, so this is their foolishness. This is what they approve of. It says, nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beast that perish because all men die. The only way that we're going to be able to live forever is when the kingdom is here and the Lord changes us, right? It says, this is the point here, verse 13. This their way, which way? The way of thinking that they're going to continue forever, that pride, that pompous pride that Esau has, that they're going to continue forever. It says, this their way is their folly. So now, let's look up this word folly in Psalms, the I keep saying 149 chapter. Maybe we'll read that. The word there is kasal, loins, flank, stupidity, folly. So this is stupidity. For them to actually think that they're going to rule forever is stupidity. stupidity based off the prophecies of the Most High, and also stupidity as far as looking into the past, into the other empires that ruled, that were great empires that came and went and fell. But that's the great pride of Esau, right? So it goes on to say, this their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their saying, Salah. So the Salah is what? A pause. So meditate on that. So what was just said? The folly or the stupidity of Esau, thinking that they're going to rule forever, it says, yet their posterity. What is a posterity? Let's go to the blue letter. Well, not the blue letter, this one here. Posterity is the word achar. Achar is, last, like at the end. So after the following part, behind of place, hinder, afterwards of time, as an adverb, behind of place, afterwards of time, as a preposition, behind, after, hinder part, from behind, from following after. So what is what's left behind, of Esau? Their children. Because when we look up the word posterity, let's look up the word posterity in the regular dictionary, this offline dictionary I have here in my other phone. Just bear with me 1 second till I can get it. Posterity. Posterity. It says all of the offspring of a given progenitor. So the offspring of a given progenitor is who? The children of those that were here before. Dealing with who? Dealing with Esau, the ones that conquered this land. Did not the scriptures say that Gad, a troop, shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last? So who did that? Who did that? Okay, who did that? You white people did that. Okay. So the Edomites did that. They came to this land. They set up shop. They set up troops. The cavalry. They went through, through so-called North America. They conquered, pillaged, raped, murdered, the Gadites, the Reubenites, the Issacharites that were here in this land and other lands up in Canada, South America, Central America, Mexico, so on and so forth. And what did they do? They took over. So they're the ones that are here. So they had children, and their children had children, and their children had children, and their children had children, and they pretty much are benefiting off of what their forefathers did in the past. You see? But they don't want to accept that. They don't want to accept reincarnation because they know if that's the case, they're going to have to pay. But they will pay. They will have to pay. Because reincarnation is biblical. It's in the Bible. And they will have to pay. So I hate to disappoint your gods, bro. But you devils got to pay. So like I said, I want to put in, I want to put in my application to Elder Apostle Tahar now, so if I can get vocab for as long as he can spare him, because I know he won't let him go too far from his plantation. Okay, Salaki, I just had to throw a little joke in there. It says, this their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their saying. So now let's look up this word, approve. It says in the Hebrew that delight in their mouth. Let's see what the word approve is. The word approve is the Hebrew word ratazah. Now the word ratazah is will. Somebody's will. It says to be pleaded with, be favorable to, accept favorably, to be pleased with, be favorable to accept, to be pleased, be determined. So you don't see these Edomites, right, jumping up and say, you know what, the way that this country was gotten by my forefathers was wrong. We're going to give back all the land that we own. We're going to give back all this money, all the wealth that we accumulated. We're going to give it back to the Native Americans, and we're going to subject ourselves to them and be at their mercy and let them do what they will to us. You know, put us in slavery or whatever the case. They're not going to do that. So they're approving what their forefathers did, because they are their forefathers coming back. They're living off of the fatness of the earth, as was the blessing that was given to Esau, that he got by the use of the sword. It's no coincidence that the Spirit allowed this devil to create something called the Gatling gun to cut down Gad, because they couldn't deal with Gad. Gad was too fierce, too ferocious. So the Lord gave this devil the blessing and the ability and the mind to put together this gun that shot multiple rounds to where Gad couldn't dodge like he was before. And that's what decimated the tribe of Gad. Why? Because that was prophecy. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. All right? Now, we're going to stop there. Let's read that again, and then I'm going to move to the next precept. This is Psalms 49:13 again. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their saying. Salah. So these devils that are alive today approve their saying. Why? Because they're following pretty much in the same footsteps as their forefathers. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed, man. It's all the same shit. Now let's go to the same book of Psalms. Let's go to the 17th chapter, and we're going to start at the 7th verse. It says, show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand, them which put their trust in thee, for those that rise up against them. See? So, you know, rise up for us, O Lord, against those that rise up against us, which is Esau. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. Because ultimately, right now, we're being protected by the wings of the Lord, which are the angels. But eventually, in that day, peradventure we be the elect, we're going to be actually in the chariots, which are the wings of the Lord, that are maneuvered by angels. You know? It says, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. Come on, man. What is that talking about? Deadly enemy, the ones that oppress? There hasn't been a greater oppressor on the planet than these Edomites. When you read how has the golden city ceased, how does that go? How has the golden city ceased? Let me see. I just want to get that real quick. I'm not going to read it. I just want to get the wording right. 14 and 4. How has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. You know, when you look up the word golden city, pretty much means an oppressor, means one that exacts gold and stuff out of you. And that's what these devils do. They oppress people financially. They oppress people physically through slavery and all of that. They take people's substances. You know, they lie to them and tell them, look, if you accept this amount of money and pay it back, then you can help your people, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. But what they don't tell them is, if you can't pay, we're taking over your land and your resources. So pretty much Esau is nothing more than a loan shark. All right? So now, going back to Psalms 17 and 9 again. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat because they live in lovely. You know, they live in high off the hog, as they say. With their mouth, they speak proudly. Yeah, because, you know, when Esau speaks, you could see, even you could see Donald Trump, when he speaks, that devil is proud as hell, and he's not even among the top elite. So just imagine how these elites speak, you know, puffed up. It says, they have now compassed us in our steps. They have compassed us in our steps. And that's why they have this global tracking system that they're setting up to chip everybody and to survey everybody. Like the lesson, you know, that was done, that we did yesterday. It says, they have now compassed me in our steps, compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Now, I wish this scripture would have, I would have ran across this scripture because it would have went perfect with the lesson we did yesterday. You know, how they set their eyes upon the earth, something like that in the book of Psalms, the 10th chapter. Can't remember the name of the lesson, but this would have went perfect. Now, just to segue a little bit, and we'll come back. What I did was I looked up that word bowing, because it says they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing to the earth. Now, what are eyes? You know, eyes is what you see with. So now let's go there real quick. Psalms, same book, the 17th chapter. And what verse was that? 11. When you look up the word eyes, ayan, which is eye of physical eye, showing mental qualities of mental and spiritual faculties, spring fountain, right? Then you look up the word bowing down. It's the word nata, to stretch out, extend, spread out. So how did they stretch out, extend, or spread out? By after they conquered the earth, putting their surveillance systems out there. Remember, they want to be like the Most High. So what I did was I looked up the word extend, right, in the Common Dictionary. And the word extend in the Common Dictionary that I looked up, it says cause to cover a large area, make longer or wider. And when I read that, that's what they did. They compassed the whole globe. Their wickedness encompassed the whole globe. And the scripture that came to mind to go with that is the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter, and the 2nd verse. It says, enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. And I believe it's the word forth, stretch forth, that is the same Hebrew word as natah, to describe that the extension, you know, the covering of large areas. And that's how they did it. That's why it says they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth, because you have the satellites and you have all the technology that they have connected to these satellites, you know, and pretty much their eyes are everywhere. You know, they're the eye in the sky, watching over everybody, surveilling over everybody. All right. So now let's get back. Let's go back to Psalm 17. Now let's go to the 12th verse. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, because that's the sword of the Lord. And the Lord is going to use this devil as a sword, you know, to spank Jake, so to speak. It says, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, check it out, which have their portion in this life, because they have their portion in this life. They have more than heart could wish. They are grown over with fatness, man. They're enclosed in their fatness. They living it up. They fared sumptuously every day. It says, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. Now check it out. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes, which is the same thing what we read, you know, in the book of Psalms 49, you know, about how their posterity approved their saying, but also, what is it? Back in Psalms 49. So pretty much Esau has given what the lands that he's conquered and the riches that he's conquered, he's passed them on to his children and his children's children, all the way up until what you see today. You know, and what these devils don't understand is that they are those people reincarnated again in this time. So now let's go from there to the book. Matter of fact, let me look up this word to see what it says for this word here. Okay. So let's move on from there Let's go to the book of Job 21. Job 21. Job 21 and 7. It says, wherefore do the wicked live, become old? Yea, they are mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull gendereth and faileth not, their cow calveth and casteth not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and the harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Yeah, so there's no bands in their death, as it says in Psalm 73. They have more than heart could wish. Their children don't have want for anything, you know? But how did they get this substance? See, this is where the big problem comes in. All right, you living off the inheritances that your forefathers left, but where did they get those inheritances from? Where did they get that substance from? They got it off of rape, robbery, murder. I mean, you name it. All type of underhanded, wicked, oppressive shit. So guess what? You're going to have to pay for that. Because when you look deep into it, you are those children. Because the scriptures say that the father shall not pay for the children, neither shall the children pay for the father's iniquities. And it says that prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So is that a contradiction? No, it's not a contradiction. How can that be so? Because of reincarnation. That's why you, the children today of your forefathers, see that wicked history, that shameful history, and now you have to pay for those things that your forefathers did. All right. Now I had some other precepts. I'm trying to see where I put them at. Just bear with me 1 second. I guess I didn't write them down. I thought I did. I thought I had wrote them down. But obviously I didn't. So what we're going to do is going to get a couple of precepts and see if I can remember them. Got that one. What was the other one? Okay. Job chapter 20 and verse 10. It says, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. Yeah, because now Esau, well, you know, we like black people. We got black friends. We got Latino friends. You know, we have North American Indian friends. Matter of fact, my great-great-great-great-grandmother was a North American Indian. You know, trying to cop a plea. But you ain't going to be able to cop a plea because now, and this is why they're trying to get history erased from the books. Slavery, and pretty much how they got this country, because how they got it was wicked. That's what the Lord said, he's going to spew shameful spewing on your glory. Because this your glory, yeah, you conquered the world. Yeah, you set up shop and everything. But how did you set up shop? It was through a shameful way. And you can't get away from that. So let's go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, 41 and 5. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children, listen good, the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. Why shall it perish? Well, let's go real quick to same book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. Does that sound familiar? The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Because of unrighteous dealings, Esau did that. Injuries, Esau did that. And riches got by deceit, Esau did that. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So now the translation of your kingdom is going to be brought to us, but this place is going to be destroyed. What we're going to get is we're going to get the substances, you know, the gold and the silver and the precious stones and all the riches, you know, and all the different commodities, and we're going to get land back. And also we're going to get slaves, because you're going to be a commodity also in the kingdom of heaven. So I'm going to put my application in with Elder Pastor Tahar, you know, to request if I could, you know, have vocab for a couple of days or however long he could spare him for. Oh man. Ecclesiastes 41:6. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their what? Their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. So this is a stain on them, on their glory. This is something they can't get away from. This is something that haunts them. This is something that they wish would go away. But it's not going away. It's here to stay. Because you got to pay. And that's with no delay. Oh, Lord. So the word posterity again, all of the offspring of a given progenitor. So what is the offspring of the given progenitor? What is happening to them? They're suffering a perpetual reproach, a perpetual shame for all the wickedness that your forefathers did, which was you. You know, now you're coming back in this time trying to act like you were so righteous and you were so, you know, benevolent. Or if I would have been back then, I wouldn't have done that. And, you know, full of shit. Full of shit. So I'll read that again. I like the way that sounds. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. So this reproach, this shame, is something that's ever present. Every time you turn around, you got Gadite land that was stolen. You got Gadite women that were raped. You got Gadite babies that were killed. You got old Gadite men that were killed. You have so-called Negroes that were brought over here from the tribe of Judah that were killed, that were put in slavery. The women were raped. The children were sold to other plantations. The men that dared to stand up, you know, because they got tired of the oppression, you know, they were buck broken, tied down and popped by the master and his friends. That's total wicked oppression. And that's ever following you. It's perpetual. It's a perpetual reproach, a perpetual blot. It says, the children will complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reproached for his sake. So you're being reproached for the sake of your forefathers. You know, you're catching hell, you know, for what your forefathers did, because you are your forefathers coming back. And that's the only way to make it right. For you to suffer the things that you did. That's it. Bottom line. All right, now, let's go from there. Let's go back to Psalms 49 and 14 this time. Psalms 49:14. Like sheep, they are laid. Matter of fact, let's read 13 again. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their saying. Salah, and you're still doing it today. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright, which are the Israelites, hold on one second. And the upright, there's a precept there, Psalms 47:3. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. Dig it. All right. So it says, and the upright shall have dominion over them, meaning rule over them, in the morning. And their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling. So now it says that the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning. Whose morning? Our morning. When the Lord raises us back up. You know, matter of fact, the first scripture that had came to mind when I read that was in the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, and the 27th verse. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. You know, we know about the tribe of Benjamin, so-called West Indians. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey. What morning? What morning is that talking about? The kingdom of heaven, the glory, the shining, the great splendor of the kingdom. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. What night? Whose night? Esau's night. That's coming. And they're going down like a submarine, and they ain't coming back up. So this morning is the glory of the kingdom of heaven. Now let's go to Psalms 149, because the Spirit kept having me say Psalms 149. Let's go to Psalms 149 and 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Meaning what? The glory of the kingdom of heaven. In the morning, Israel's morning, the rising of the nation of Israel, Yasha Allah, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Those names are going to be done away with, and our true names are going to be upon us. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Manasseh, Ephraim, Issachar, Naphtali, Asher, so on and so forth. It says, let them sing. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory in the kingdom in the morning. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Why? Because from the moment we get up, we're going to be joyous. Now you get up in the morning, you're like, fuck. Either got to go to work, or you wake up surprised you're still alive, thanking the Lord for letting you get through another day. In the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be totally different, man. It's going to be a different ball game. It says, let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. Why? Because the things that Esau and the other nations did to us, we got to get them back. It says, to execute. When you execute something, it means you put it into motion. You put it into action. To execute vengeance. So who's going to execute the vengeance? The vengeance belongs to the Most High, but who is he going to use to execute the vengeance? By the hands of his people Israel, the real Israelites. To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. It says, to bind their kings with chains, because all your nobles, your top banking elite, among all the nations, they're going to be the first ones to go into slavery. It says, and punishment upon the people, because all of you are going to pay. Every last one of you is going to pay. I got a list of precepts that go into that. Lord's will, I'll get it. It says, to bind their kings with chains and the nobles with fetters of iron, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, slavery, to execute upon them the judgment written. And what's the judgment written? That these nations are going to have to go into captivity just like we did. It says, dishonor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord. See? So the Lord is the one that's going to be praised for giving us this ability, to put these devils into captivity. Now, let's go from there. Since we read that in Psalms 49 and 14, now let's go from there to the book of Numbers. This is one of the precepts that came up. And this is bad, man. Bad. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 23. And I'm going to read two verses from here. Numbers 23 and 23. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. And Lord's will, if the Spirit hits me, I want to do a lesson on this, because this ties in with the accuser of thy brethren. And what are the enchantments? That's that witchcraft and the curses that they try to put up against us, but it's going to bounce off of us and jump on them. It says, surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath the Most High wrought? Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion. When? In the morning. And lift up himself as a young lion. He shall not lie down until he eat of the prey and drink the blood of the slain. See? So that's parabolic talk for what? Vengeance. Execution of the vengeance. The execution of a chump. Inside joke if y'all saw Elder Apostle Gabar's video. Now, let's go from there to the 24th chapter, and let's start at the 14th verse. It says, and now, behold, I go unto my people, Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people, Israel, shall do to thy people in the latter days, the Moabites and all the other nations. This is a vision that the Most High gave this prophet, a Midianite, you know, Balaam, about all the nations and what was going to happen to them, what Israel was going to do to them. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, have said, and the man whose eyes are open have said, he have said, which heard the words of the Most High, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. Why? Because he's not an Israelite. I shall behold him, but not nigh, because he's of another nation. He'll be in the kingdom, but he's going to be a servant. There shall come a star out of Jacob, which is Yahushai, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, Yahushai, and shall smite the corners of Moab, because Moab is going to get rocked, and destroy all the children of Sheph, and Edom shall be a possession, Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies. Why? Because the Edomites are going to be destroyed, done away with. So their land is going to be given to who? To Judah. I believe it also said with Benjamin. You know, the southern kingdom that was down in that area. You know, but mainly Judah is going to get that land. Because land is never wasted. You know, land is power. Land is wealth. It says, and they're also going to be, they're going to also go into slavery, but they're going to be extinct. They're going to be eradicated. They're going to be genocided. Just like they like to do to everything else. They like to try to genocide everything. Well, guess what? You're going to be genocided because you are the virus of the earth. It says, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Yeah, because Yahushua is coming to take you devils down. All you got to do is read Isaiah the 63rd chapter. It says, and when he looked on Amalek, which are the 48ers, he took up his parable and said Amalek was the first of the nations. Now this is twofold. They're first of the nations because they were the first nation we went to war with, but they're also first of the nation because they are on top of all the other nations. The international banking families of the earth are Amalek. And they've wiggled their way up into there through all types of deception and money lending and usury, which is interest, and all kind of other underhanded shit. It says, and he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. Why? Because they're going to perish with the rest of the Edomites. All right? It says, and he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Ashur shall carry thee away captive. So all these nations are going to be put down. But the nations are just going to be in slavery, and after a 1,000-year period, they're going to still be tributary, but they're not going to have it as bad as their first 1,000 years. All right, now let's move from there. I'm going to skip this next one because that's a whole topic within itself. So let's go from there to Ezekiel 39. Ezekiel 39. Ezekiel 39 and 10. It says, so that they shall take no wood out of the field. This is talking about after the destruction. You know, we're going to go through and we're going to burn up all of Esau's weapons with spiritual powers. It says, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. That's nuclear, not nuclear, spiritual fire. And they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So you got payment coming to you. Now let's go from there to Jeremiah. Let's line them up. Jeremiah 30 and 16. It says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, meaning every last one of these nations that had a hand in putting us into captivity, or had a hand in beating us down, or oppressing us, or whatever the case was. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So all you have to look forward to is whatever you did to us, you have that to look forward to in the kingdom of heaven, but double. And this is why, you know, the vocabs and the plantation Christian gatekeepers, you know, are denying reincarnation and denying that we're Israelites, because they know that if we're right in what we're saying, which we believe we're right, they're in trouble. And there's nothing that they can do to get out of it. There's nothing that they can do to get out of it. Because the books are written and the judgments are set. And now is coming the great execution, you know, of the prophecies of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. After these prophecies here are fulfilled, the mark of the beast, World War III, you know, and everything else that the Lord is going to do prior to him coming, when the kingdom is established, these prophecies have to be fulfilled too. That we're going to have the nations in captivity, their kings, their nobles, you know. We're going to boast in their riches. We're going to have everything. The gates of the kingdom are going to be open day and night, so these devils could be bringing their riches, bringing them to us, which it rightly belongs to, because the Lord said he made the earth for our sakes. Now, let's go from there. I'm going to skip a couple of these in the interest of time. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. And verse 18. We're going to start at 18. Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Because they took it from us, and now we're going to take it back. Now let's jump to the 22nd verse. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Why? Because it's Yahweh's kingdom, and we're joint heirs with him. When you read up above in Daniel 7. Now let's jump down to the 27th verse. It says, and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Yeah, you're going to have Yahweh, Yahushai, and the rest of Israel. That's why Yahushai is known as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. You know, they said he had many crowns on his head because he conquered the nations. You know, he made righteous war against these nations. And not that he's going to take the actual crowns, but the credit for taking these nations down is going to be under Yahushai's belt. He's going to be the reigning champion. All right, now, where are we at? Let's go from there to Revelation chapter 2. And Salaki, I'm pretty sure, I know you brothers been putting up scriptures and everything, but I, just been focused on these precepts that I have here. You brothers be getting down, Revelation 2:25. But that which you have already hold fast till I come. Yeah, because this is all we have. All we have is the faith. That's why it says, he that leadeth to captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And that's what we're patiently waiting for. That's all we have to hold on to. And people out there have a problem when we tell them that we have faith that these things are going to happen. And then they talk about blind faith. Well, the scriptures speak about the evidence is the faith. Because there's certain things that there's no evidence of. So there has to be a blind faith. Because if you could see, then why would you have faith? If there was something you could actually see, why would you have faith? That it was there. When faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. See? It says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, because they did it to us. It says, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. So we're going to kick them in the ass, because they did it to us. See, and the thing about it, see, we mainly speak about Esau because his shit is more current, but there's a lot of things that these nations did to us that we don't remember. And the Lord's going to bring that back to our remembrance. And once we remember, it's, oh, you motherfucker, all right. See, right now we focusing more on Esau because Esau is the last in the line of devils to rule, But when the kingdom is established, remember, we're going to be able to know everything. It says, and I will give him the morning star, which is what? The kingdom of heaven, this knowledge. It says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Now, let's go from there to Job 21 and 19. I got a couple more precepts, but I think I'm start winding it down. Job, we were already in Job 21 and 19, and we're going to read down to the end. Well, actually, no, we're going to jump around. Job 21 and 19. It says, the Most High layeth up his iniquity for his children. See, so now you're being prepared for slaughter. It says, he rewardeth him, and he shall know it. Yeah, because you're going to know. It's going to, right now, these guys are full of shit. They're crazy. Even though they're getting like a little nervous, because it ain't really fully shown. But once that day comes and it's fully shown, they're going to really be in a bad case. So get ready, because here it comes. It says, his eyes shall see his destruction. Yeah, because you're going to see your destruction. You're going to see your whole kingdom fall apart. It says, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. What is the wrath of the Almighty? He's bringing it through these missiles and the fire from the lasers of the chariots. It says, for what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off? Because you have a certain period of time to rule, and now that time is up, sucker. All right, now let's jump to verse 24. It says, his breasts are full of milk, his bones are moistened with marrow. I'm sorry, not 24, 29. That's good too. That's going into his riches. Have you not asked them that go by the way, and do you not know their tokens, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Who shall declare his way to his face, and who shall repay him what he have done? Because the Most High is going to repay him what he has done. Because it's payback time. Now, you know what? I guess I'll leave you with this scripture here, unless the Spirit just had me read that last one. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, the famous Isaiah 14 and 21, which vocab and them hate. Isaiah 14 and 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Because if they were allowed to come back into power after they're taken down, guess what? They're going to deceive the whole world again. And they're not coming back up after this. You see what happened when they came out of the Byzantine Empire, when Jake fell and they started what was called the Renaissance. You see how much wickedness has grown from that point till now. And that's all they're going to keep doing, because they're made and created. They are tailor-made to be the wicked. They are tailor-made to do evil. Now I want to look up two words in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 21. I want to look up the word prepare, which is kawan, to be firm, be stable, be established. So pretty much they've been fixed, secure, established, prepared, arranged. Arranged for what? You know how you have an arranged marriage? Well, Esau has a marriage arrangement with destruction. And then the word slaughter is the word matabach, slaughtering place, slaughter. Yeah, and Apostle Tara always speaks about America being the great altar. So this is going to be the place of their slaughter. You know, the international bankers, the top elite, they're going to get out. They're not going to suffer this because they're going to be the first ones going into slavery. But anybody else that's on the soils of America, they're going to be decimated. So you're being prepared for slaughter for the iniquity of your fathers. And that's just the first stage of it. After the destruction, when the smoke clears, so to speak, and the kingdom is established, then you're going to go to phase 2, which is slavery. And then after slavery, you're going to go to phase 3, which is the last and final stage, the last countdown to the last Edomite. And don't look for a sequel because we get them all. Oh man, fucking Paul Mooney. He said, yeah, you know, there's a movie, The Last White Man on Earth, you know, where you have Whoopi Goldberg and Diana Ross, and we catch them and we beat them for, I forget how long he said. He said, but don't look for a sequel because we catch them all, you know. Oh man, it's gonna be a glorious day, man, when this devil goes down. All right, so with that, you know, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say shalom, and shalom to you, Akim, sincere brothers on the comment boards. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, the water for coming on. Shalom to the elders and whatever other brothers are there. And the water for all the comments and scripture you brothers put up. You know, I know that if I would have went through those precepts, this would have probably been another hour at least. You know. So yeah, you know, so with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified till the next time I say shalom. Stay strong.